Hey folks, it's David Bourne here in the studio to talk about a really cool concept called The Gap by Ira Glass. Ira Glass is a radio personality. He's the guy, one of the co-founders of This American Life, and he's got this really cool concept called The Gap, which is really good for beginners whenever you start doing something and it just is so hard and it feels like you're just no good. He says it's because you have this high level of taste and because you want it to be better and it's not better yet, you've got to realize there's a gap there. But the more you work, the more you can fill in the gap, and then you can get to where you want to be. That's it in essence. So it's really just a concept. And so what I want to do today is talk about how this relates to the thing I'm obsessed about, which is this cycle of creation. So I am in a gap myself with this setup. I'm working with, let's see, I am working, where'd you go? Where did that go? Something fucking died. All right, I've got a camera setting. I'm just gonna ignore it. I got a camera, pardon my French. I got a camera over there that is not working. I think it's a new camera, okay. I was using a different camera and I switched it. There we go, we're learning. And so part of my challenge is that I'm feeling already the problem with the gap, which is this is not going to be good enough. But you know what? It is going to be good enough. So let's just look at it real quick. And then I want to talk about how it fits into this cyclical pattern that I'm obsessed with. So one new thing I have is I've got my notes here. I've got my computer connected to all this. And so I've got a note called The Gap, and I have a few links which are worth checking out. First of all, Ira Glass, if you go to Goodreads, you'll see this quote right at the top. This is the whole thing if you want to have a copy of it. Or if you prefer it in, let's see what happens if I click here. That one on The Gap. If I click here, we'll pull up this really nice graphic which someone made. I do not know who made this, so I do not know who to give credit to. But it is a beautiful graphic that goes through this. By the way, he's on the internet, on YouTube, saying this. And if you go, here's really what I recommend you do, is go to this next one, which is this video on Vimeo. I'm just going to play it a little bit. So what you do is you're hearing Ira speak, and you have this beautiful graphic done by this guy named Daniel Sachs. And this is really inspiring. So I encourage you, if you are someone who's struggling with the gap, struggling with getting good work, it's bookmark this because it is a really it's just a fabulous video that Daniel made to visualize this statement, this quote. So I will provide those links, but real quick, what I want to say is, let's switch over here to the iPad. Can we do that? Yes, all right. I'm going to call it this best work. Okay, so your best work, and down here you've got your I'm going to call it not best. So you got your not best work down here at the bottom. And what I think is very helpful is if you will look at this in terms of a cyclical growth pattern. And so here's the cycle. You're going to see me doing this a lot, where if you think of this as a compass and you've got your best work at the top. And so what you're doing is whenever you start out, you're here in this first quadrant, you're going to take action and go into, this is the action quadrant. You're going to do something. You're going to publish the work like I'm going to do right now. you're publishing this work and you're getting it out there to the world, and he says to set a deadline, and then you're going to get a result that you, over here in 3, you're going to have this result. And what was 1? I left that out. 1 is basically, it's your idea. It's your work, right? And so then you have this R-E-S-U-L-T. Boy, I didn't spell that right. All right, so in quadrant 4, which is super, super important. Quadrant 4 is the most important one. I want you to remember this because this is your belief about the work. This is where we get tripped up. So what we're doing is we're going through these different phases. We're starting out, every time we start, we go and we make a little trip through this cycle like this. Okay, and that wasn't well drawn. I will work on that. I will get better as I do this more and more. And so, what do? I'm going to undo that just so you can see it a little bit better. So we go through here, and I'm going to change my pen to say. All right, so this is, I don't know, this is version 3 or 4 of this video series that I'm doing. So we started out here, and we just start our progress. And we do something, we get a result. We do something, we get a result, and we go round and round and round. And sometimes, you know, sometimes it gets worse, frankly, and we go back and it's not great. But what's super, super important as we go around and around, we're going to get better. We're going to get better because we're going to learn. It's inevitable. I mean, look at that. Woo! We're going to get better. We're just going to learn. Sometimes it's going to get harder. We're going to put in a new camera and it's going to turn off and it's going to feel like crap. But we're going to just get better. I don't know what else to say. You just get better and you're going to get closer and closer to this work. So I will undo all that. So the gap is really, you want to be here, but in reality, it feels like is you're just down here. But if we can realize with compassion, self-compassion, and with continual work, we can just get better. And there's so many other things that I could say about this, but really just that's enough. That's enough. So I encourage you to look up Ira Glass, The Gap. And by the way, who is Ira Glass? I don't really think I told you that, but he's a guy, he's one of the co-founders of the really great radio show on NPR called This American Life. And so I will publish these links for you to check out. And you know, I've just got to say that this is my first time with the iPad doing this. This is the first time with that camera that turned off. Turn it back on, see what happens. See if it's really what I think, which is just a bad battery. It doesn't matter. There it is. So, you know, I'm going through this myself. And so the gap is something that I'm feeling. And we're all going to feel it no matter what we do. I had a couple other notes here I want to follow up on later. This idea of beginner's mind. It's a Zen concept that is related to this. Another idea that's related to this, you may know this, the idea of the dip. The dip is more of a, I'll just do it real quickly. I'll put in a new layer here and turn that one off. So the dip is, like Seth Godin says, you know, you start out here and then you have all this energy and you learn and it feels great, and then you get better and better and better and it feels great and you've got energy, but inevitably you're going to have the dip, which is just, you're not learning as much, it's not as much fun, and then you're going to just have to realize that eventually it's going to get better again and you're going to stand out, because most people quit right here. I have quit so many times on so many things, so I understand this. But I'll talk about the dip from Seth Godin later, and talk about how we can work through these things together. All right, so that's it. I'm David Bourne. You can learn more at davidbourne.com. Cheers.